name is Louie Castillo. I'm a Filipino Welsh fashion designer and costume designer. I was actually born in the Philippines. Then I moved to the UK. When I was a child, I used to draw and sketch a lot, paint a lot. And then I started color coding, which was like, I had an obsession with the color blue and black. So everything I owned was blue and black, like my scarf, my t-shirt, my socks, my walls. My bed was blue, my shelves were blue. So yeah, I don't know if that's like a synesthesia thing, but I had an obsession with, you know, connecting words with colors. And then it transitioned into black after high school. So I grew up until I was 9, I was in the Philippines, and then moved to North Wales. And that's when I started getting more interested in, because there's more tools in here than in the Philippines. So I was gifted like crayons, pencils and paint. So I was definitely like making a lot more. I was even carving wood, like I was doing anything to express myself creatively. In North Wales, where my teacher kind of taught me different ways to see art. It's not just drawing, it's not just sketching, it's not just painting. There's other ways to approach it, like sculpting, clothing. I remember my teachers asking me what I wanted to do. For some reason, I kept saying architecture or fashion design. Yeah, because I was always concerned with my appearance when I was a child. Yeah, and I was told to go to Yale College in North Wales, Wrexham. And that's when my brain was kind of like cracked open and I understood art in a different format. And yeah, like my teachers were telling me, like, fashion, if you want to do fashion, fashion is all about words, it's about description, it's not just about the appearance, it's about the emotion, so it is technically art. And I think they were positioning it as art to me because I am very art driven, creative driven. After Yale College, I then went off to Manchester. That's where I delved deeper into, that's where I started to do BA fashion, playing with volume and shapes and textures. And then I was recommended to go. That's when I really learned how to sew, like technically, like in a technical sense. They made us create a trench coat, which is one of the most technical garments in the world. And I learned how to make a trench coat, which was like it was kind of like mind-boggling. And I just, yeah, after that I was like, I can literally make anything. Like I can make a denim jacket, I can make this and that. And in Paris, the schools are very strict. It's very much like, oh, you did one tiny thing wrong, do it again. In Paris, not Manchester, because Manchester was more like artsy, it was more expression, doesn't really matter how you made it. But yeah, Paris was very strict. It was good to have like a duo, like a contrast, like you have the creative, but then you have the contrast of like the actual professionalism. But after that, I was like, I hate rules, I'm just gonna break the rules. And I would skip steps. Obviously, like I finished Paris, went back to Manchester to graduate. And after I graduated, I just started making more stuff on my own terms. I was like, oh, like the Paris rules are very intense. So I just kept making things. I was like, I don't care about the rules. I kind of have the backbones of how to make a garment. Let me just do my own thing. And then it just spiraled into like a lot of textural designs and sculptural designs. Yeah, so I actually worked with Gareth Pugh, a fashion designer that I aspired to when I was younger, when I discovered fashion in college. And I was like so shocked when I got the internship. It wasn't really the kind of internship where you did too much stuff. It was more like very basic stuff, you know, helping out with sewing and cutting, but I was just really grateful to be there. Then I went on to intern with this amazing designer called Louie Castillo in East London. And yeah, I had so much fun in that one. I was like understanding how to do commissions and proper pattern making in the industry, or like little shortcuts. And just watching him work was also really interesting. But yeah, technically, I really am fascinated with sculpture and creating a piece rather than a wearable piece. It just happens that, you know, the pieces that I make are wearable rather than, oh, it's a fashion piece, you know? So Silver City is a fictional concept that I created because I wanted a space where my work belongs. I like to have eras when it comes to different collections, but I also feel like they're all tied into one space. I actually created Silver City like 2.5 years ago. It was just in my sketchbook and I was like, let me just bring this to life. It was just sitting there, but I always had intended on bringing it to life. So I did that with my Autumn Winter 26 collection at the Magic Hotel, which is where I officially exposed Silver City to the world. It's basically the base where my characters live, and there's so many different avenues that I can explore, whether it's music, whether it's fashion or poetry, like any sort of creative medium I want to explore, and it's going to be within the realm of Silver City. And yeah, it's honestly inspired by Gotham City and Batman and even Wicked. You know, all of these stories like Harry Potter and Star Wars, they all have like a similar concept, right? Where there's like a good versus evil, there's rich versus poor. Like it's a common theme. And I heard that there's like actually only 13 storylines ever. And I was like, well, let me do my own rendition. It's fun. I've always liked storytelling, whether it's through painting, drawing, and like happens to be fashion that's the most successful. So yeah, I just think it's so fun. I've always think like fashion to me is sometimes it can get mundane. So when you have like a world, you can explore the different pathways, and you know, it doesn't have to be just clothing. It can be music. It can be anything. So, but I also like to be in my own bubble. You know, I like to have my own realm, and I always find it fun when brands or musicians they have their own universe, because it's like, you know, I love a lore. I like to dig deep into a story and find out, oh, this means this because of this. There's like little pockets within the universe. So I wanted my own universe with pockets and like that you can discover basically. So my universe has always been monochromatic. I learned the word monochromatic when I was in college because I was told that I had a monochromatic vision. Everything was blue in the past, now everything is black and white, silver. So yeah, Silver City is very much like grey, black, silver, white. That's the kind of, you know, color palette that I have chosen for my career. Not just the collection Silver City, but just throughout my career, that's what I like. And I just feel like there's so much to explore within those color palettes. It's, you know, you can explore color as much as you want, but I prefer to explore themes, emotions and texture within the color palette of black, white, silver. You know, it's very metropolitan, it's very corporate goth, combined with vintage and brutalism. The first collection that I've like kind of segmented into an era was Fierceization. I got publicly assaulted in Paris because of the way I looked, and I was like, oh, I kind of like the concept of intimidation versus hiding, intimidation versus incognito, right? So that was exploring it's like emotionally based basically on how I feel each collection. So this time I was feeling quite scared and like, how do I fit into the world? Should I be dressing up to scare people, or should I be dressing up to like, you know, fit in, or you know, just like be able to experience life like a normal person? And yeah, so I guess it is, in terms of like eras, it's about where I am at this stage of my life. And then it became, we had Fierceization, I can't remember my other collections, Sore Intentions, which was more like an extension of that Fierceization collection. And then it became Epitaph, which was like my heartbreak era, where I was like trying to understand how I felt, you know, after being in 5-year relationship, like how anything can just happen. That really revealed, like a heartbreak reveals so much to you, like how transient everything is. Like you could be brushing your teeth next to somebody for 5 years and then next minute they change their mind. Like that's awful. That's an awful feeling. So that was me like mourning and grieving that relationship. And then after Epitaph, there came Tormentor. With grief, there comes different stages. Obviously, you're grieving an alive person, and it's like, what is going on? You're kind of navigating that. So, but with grief, there's always like different realms. And I think anger was like one of the biggest things. So I did Tormentor, which I was just like, let me just be angry and like, let me express myself through, you know, sharp shapes and really vulgar makeup looks and vulgar textures, and it's just like distressed and you feel like you want to crawl out of your skin and you just want to explode. That's Tormentor. So that was Rage. And then I did Silver City, where it's all about, you know, kind of rebirth and just like building a version of yourself that you want to be and stepping into that character. Because, you know, in Epitaph and in Tormentor, you're like sitting in your feelings and blah 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 and being sad, whereas with Silver City it's like, you know, you can actually build yourself. You know, it's like that kind of desperation of like, oh, I want to change, but how can I change? What ways or methods can I use? Like each era is fictionalized experience of my pain and life experiences. And yeah, Silver City is kind of like not glamorizing it, but making it more fun. It's making it cool and making it more immersive. And I don't know, it's just like I'm stepping into my childhood again of my obsession with Batman. I had Batman sheets and Batman toys, and yeah, just world building is so much fun. So I'm working on streetwear. I actually recently launched or did a sample launch of my hoodie sets as like a lounge wear or an everyday wear, I would call it, which is hoodies, track bottoms, eyewear, jewelry, and accessories like scarves. Like this is called the Incognito collection, where it's about, you know, trying to exist without being disturbed. And it's basically what I wear every single day. So yeah, I'm trying to like, well, I am like fleshing out the concept of incognito throughout the next phase of my career. Because streetwear is fun, you know, like I've been creating wearable art for a long time, that I actually want to be wearing the stuff and I want other people to be able to wear my stuff. That's just so much fun, you know, to have that connection with people online and yeah, just buyers basically. And this is definitely stepping more into fashion rather than art. But yeah, I'm also working on other projects, hopefully happening in July. It's sonic related, so sound, music. Yeah, but it ties into the realm of Silver City basically.